Ciao, I'm Chiara from Filo Segno and welcome back to my channel. Today I will show you how to crochet this beautiful and very easy hat with puff stitch. This hat is very soft and comfy. For this project I use 2 skeins of Paprika from Mondial. You can find more information in the description box, and a 6.5mm hook. Then I use these wooden buttons from Prim. First we are going to create a magic ring. Now chain 1 do not count as a stitch. And now we are ready to create the first puff stitch. I suggest to watch this video where I explain the difference between puff stitch, bubble stitch and popcorn stitch. I will leave the link in the info box below. But now let's repeat how to create the puff stitch together. To create the first puff stitch, first yarn over, insert your hook into the ring, yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over again, insert your hook into the ring, grab the yarn and pull up a loop. And repeat one more time. So we do this 3 times. So now we have 7 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through all 7 loops. Then chain 1 to complete the puff stitch. And now we're going to create another puff stitch into the ring. We need to have a total of 6 puff stitch with chain 1 space. And chain 1. So yarn over, insert the hook into the ring, yarn over and pull up a loop 3 times until we will have 7 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through all 7 loops. Chain 1 and repeat this until we will have a total of 6 puff stitch and chain 1 space. Okay, now we have 6 puff stitch and 6 chain 1 space. So now pull the tail to close the ring, then join with the slip stitch into the first puff stitch here. And all we have to do now is to work between the puff stitch in the chain 1 space of the previous row. So now we are going to make an increase into each space. So first we move into the first space using a slip stitch. Chain 1 do not count as a stitch. And now we do the first puff stitch as we did before. 3, 7 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through all 7. Chain 1 and we do another puff into the same space. This is the first increase. And all we have to do now is to repeat this all the way around. So we do 2 puff stitch and chain 1 space into each of the 6 chain 1 space of the previous row. At the end of this second round, we will have a total of 12 puff stitch. And now join with the slip stitch into the first puff stitch here. And now we are going to work into the space as we did before. and increase again. So first we move into the first space here using the slip stitch, chain 1, do not count as a stitch, then we do the first puff stitch, 1 puff stitch, then 1 increase into the next space. So now we do the first puff stitch, chain 1, and now we do an increase into the next space. So we do 2 puff stitches into the same space. And chain 1, and now we are going to repeat this sequence, 1 puff stitch, then 2 puff stitches into the next space all the way around. Then we do an increase into the next one, so we do 2 puff stitches, and we continue to repeat this until the end of this round. Of course, join with a slip stitch into the first puff stitch, and now we have a total of 18 puff stitches all the way around. Now we move into the first stitch using a slip stitch, chain 1, then we do 1 puff stitch into the first 2 spaces, 1 puff stitch, then we do another puff stitch into the next space. Then we do an increase into the third one. So we do 2 puff stitches into the same space. And now repeat this sequence, puff stitch, and increase all the way around. Okay, now we have a total of 24 puff stitches all the way around, and of course join with a slip stitch as we did before. And now we are going to increase again until we have a diameter about 70 centimeters. For a head circumference about 55 centimeters. So first we move again using a slip stitch into the first space, chain 1, and now we do 1 puff stitch into the first 3 spaces. So 1, the second puff stitch, chain 1, and the third. And of course we do an increase into the 4th space. And of course repeat this sequence, 3 puff stitch, then an increase all the way around. And join with a slip stitch into the first puff stitch. And now we have a total of 30 puff stitches all the way around. And now we are going to do the last increase round. So first we move into the first space using a slip stitch. Then we do 1 puff stitch into the first 4 spaces. Chain 1, chain 1, and 4 puff stitches. And now we are going to do an increase into the next space, 4 puff stitch and 1 increase. And repeat this sequence until the end of this round. And of course join with a slip stitch into the first puff stitch. And now we have a total of 36 puff stitches all the way around, and now my diameter is about 70 centimeters, perfect for an adult size. So all we have to do now is to work into each space all the way around one puff stitch. So we move as we did before, using a slip stitch into the first space here, chain 1, do not count as a stitch, then we do one puff stitch into the following spaces, and we do this for a total of 8 rounds. And continue to do one puff stitch into each space all the way around for a total of 8 rounds, or until you will reach the length about 70 centimeters. Okay, now I've done 8 rounds, and now my hat, the length of my hat is about 70 centimeters, and all we have to do now is to do a little border using a half double crochet. So first we move into the first space here using a slip stitch as we did before, chain 1, then we do one half double crochet into each space all the way around. I suggest to put the marker into the first half double crochet here. So now remove the marker, then join with a slip stitch into the first half double crochet. So all we have to do now is to repeat this last round. So first chain 1, do not count as a stitch, then we do one half double crochet into each stitch all the way around until we will reach the desired length of this little border. I will do a total of 5 rounds all the way around. Okay, now I've done a total of 5 rounds for my little border, so I remove the marker and join with a slip stitch into the first half double crochet, and now we are ready to cut the yarn, then weave the tails inside the work using a tapestry needle. Okay, now my hat is done, and now I want to sew this beautiful recycled hemp button from Prim. I will leave the link in the info box below, and I want to sew one of these button here And to do this, I will use a simple thread and needle. And now let me show you the finished paprika hat, and I really love the nice texture of the puff stitches. So now I want to show you another hat I've made before with these beautiful shades of green and blue. Let me know in the comments below which one you like best. This project is a great gift for yourself as well for friends and family members. So I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. Let me know in the comments down below. Remember to tag me on Instagram or Facebook if you create your paprika hat. I will leave all the links that you need in the description box. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and don't forget to click on bell icon to get notifications. So thank you for watching and I see you in the next video. Ciao and tanto love!